When people get married, they usually think their marriage is going to be perfect because, hey, during the engagement, they got along fine. They knew each other so well. But then something happened. They got married, and suddenly the person they married doesn't seem like the same person that they were engaged to. So the question is, what just happened? Did they marry the wrong person, or is there actually a right person? Join us today as Alan Parr answers this question for us. A few months ago, we had a marriage questions conference. We brought in three speakers, three speakers, Alan Parr, Mike Winger, and Dr. Sean McDowell, to answer over 80 tough marriage questions. We spent over 8 hours. These guys were amazing. It was a really, really fun time. So I wanted to break each question apart for those of you who just want a specific question answered. This particular question, Alan Parr answered for us, and I think a lot of people probably wonder about this, like, did I marry the wrong person? And is there such a thing as marrying the right person? So watch this. Okay, let's go to question number one. I feel like I married the wrong person, okay? Is there such a thing as a right person? Because a lot of people do. They get married and they're like, uh-oh, it's been a month and I'm pretty certain that this wasn't this nah-uh. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, Sean touched on this a little earlier. This Hallmark, this Notebook movie, this Disney movie, this fairy tale type of thing, where our culture, which is obviously very different than Eastern culture and different things, but this Western culture that we live in feeds us this lie and this notion, first and foremost, that there is only one right person for us, right? And so, sorry, honey, but, I don't believe that there's just one right person in the entire world, because that means if something, God forbid, were to happen to my wife, then that means that am I just doomed forever to not have marital bliss ever again? No. I think that there is such a thing as compatibility, right? You have to find someone that you're compatible with. Now, so first of all, that idea is built on a faulty foundation and a faulty premise, that there is a right person for me and there is a wrong person for me. So I think that's the first thing. But the second thing that I would say to that is that we have to make sure that our expectations are not unrealistic, because let me just share this. I grew up with a lot of divorce. My mom was divorced twice, my dad was divorced 3 times, my sister's been divorced twice, and so I didn't have any model at all for what a marriage period was supposed to look like, whether it's healthy or not. And so I developed my idea of what a healthy marriage looked like from movies, from what I saw online and things like that. And so I could have easily just entered into our marriage with all of these unrealistic expectations. And then so what happens is, when your experiences are different than your expectations, that gap is what's called disappointment, right? Mm-hmm. We come in with all of these expectations, right, up here, but our experiences are right here. And because there's a huge gap, we get disillusioned, we get disappointed. So we have to make sure that our expectations are realistic. And what that means is we have to understand that there's a certain element of friction and discord and discomfort in any marriage at all. And that doesn't mean you're married to the wrong person. It doesn't mean you have a bad marriage. It just means that you're married, right? And there's some of these things just go along with it. So the bigger question is, what do you do if you feel that way? What do you do, right? Well, first of all, know that you're not alone, that there are a lot of people either long-term or at some specific isolated incident in their marriage, they've questioned whether they married the right person. Now, thankfully, I'll be honest with you, I love my wife, been here 7 years, been married 7 years, and I've thankfully, by the grace of God, I've never actually had that thought. And to my knowledge, hopefully she hasn't had that thought. I don't know what goes through her mind. She might have had it 1 or 2 times. I hope not, right? But it's natural. My point is, it is very natural for many people to have that thought, right? So just know that you're not alone there. Embrace the struggle. Like I said, there's a certain level of incompatibility, frustration, disappointment in any marriage whatsoever. But then another thing I would say is this. If you feel like, okay, I've just married the wrong person, prioritize your commitment to your marriage above your personal happiness. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow because we want to be happy. And that's the lie, I think, that this culture has fed us, which is you have to be happy. And what happens is when people aren't happy, they say, I deserve to be happy. God wants me to be happy, and therefore, because God wants me to be happy, I now have a reason to get out of this marriage because I'm not happy. You have to elevate your commitment to the marriage, assuming that there's no adultery or anything like that, but you have to elevate your commitment to the marriage above and beyond your own happiness. And then the last thing I'll say is this. You've got to find other things outside of your marriage to fill your cup and make you happy so that you're not putting the sole responsibility on your spouse to make you happy. Whether it's a hobby, whether it's ministry, whatever it is, you've got to do that because if not, you're going to be dependent on your spouse to make you happy.
I don't know at what point we're talking about this. It could be somewhere else, but I literally had a girl call me, and she was just like, "I'm done. We don't like each other. I feel like I've just kind of married the wrong person, and she just wants to get out." And it's the hardest thing for me to try to get people to understand. Like, I told her, I said, "You need to learn to like bloom where you're planted." I know that sounds really dumb, but it's like kind of like settle in. Like, okay, yes, I'm married to this person. Now we just need to work and figure out the best way to do that. So I agree with that.
Add one last quick thing to that. A lot of the things that are making us feel disconnected to our spouse can be worked on.
Right.
And I really want to put that out there. Instead of complaining about why I married the wrong person, focus more of your attention on, okay, what can I do to work together to make our marriage better?
Exactly. I hope you learned something very valuable from this question with Alan. If you would like to watch the rest of this session, I will have the link below. Have a good day.